great. I'm glad everybody got a chance to stretch their legs and get out of the heat and or cold, or both, as in the case in this room. So we're going to get started with some really hands-on case studies following up on what Byron was talking about. I'm really excited because some of these are examples that are very counterintuitive if you haven't heard the ways that businesses are using blogs today. They're things that you might not be familiar with. And one of the reasons that I'm really excited about our next presenter is I love the example of blogs helping enable business-to-business communications. And that's a lot of what this company does. So I'm very happy to introduce Adam Tinworth, who's with Read Business. So please all give him a warm welcome.
Is this working?
If you turn that on.
Now is it working? Hello? Aha, nice to hear me, good. Okay. Right, I'm not going to be talking about technical stuff. I'm a journalist and I don't understand it. But I will be talking about what we, Read Business, have been doing with blogging over the last 6 to 9 months. You can ignore that. Somebody told me how to have jargon on the beginning of the presentation, and nobody paid any attention to me. Okay, Read Business Information. UK branch of it, we have various different branches. We have a US branch based not far from here. We have a European branch, and we're part of Read Elsevier, sort of a large scientific business publisher. The information bit's interesting because it plays into this. We used to be called Read Business Publishing. For a few years back, so we realised that what we actually do is when you take away the medium, when you take away the magazine, what we do is gather information from people and give it to them. We're sort of an outsourced information gatherer for businesses. One of the largest business publishers in the UK. Admittedly not a huge field, but in that field we are one of the biggest. We're business-to-business publisher, almost entirely. There is 1.5 titles that sort of break that rule, and we'll come to those in a minute. But most of the time we're in that situation where our readers are also the people we're writing about, and are also to some degree our advertisers. We've been around a while. Some of our oldest titles are about 150 years old. We've been very actively online since the mid-1990s, mainly in our larger titles, but it's been a big part of the business, and it's one of the reasons that prompted the change from Read Business Publishing to Read Business Information. And one of the things that's a lot of the driver behind what we're about to see is that in some point this year, our revenues are going to be equally balanced between our print products and our online products. But the difference is that our print revenues are doing this, and our online revenues are doing that. And that's a big driver for board buying and all those sorts of important things. Just run you through a few of our titles. This is probably the only one any of you will have ever heard of. But New Scientist is the one that overlaps business to business and business to consumer. Absolutely our most successful title, makes buckets of money, and keeps winning awards, so we like that one. This is one you probably won't have heard of, but makes nearly as much money. This is for what we call commercial property industry, but probably means the commercial real estate industry to you. This is a magazine I worked on for the last 10 years. Makes, as I said, absolutely shed loads of money, and because property is an extremely rich industry. But we've got lots of other titles: Commercial Motor for the trucking industry, Flight International, regular readers of Randy's Journal, of course. Travel Weekly for the travel industry, and there's one that's gone through a big change towards the internet. Farmers Weekly, again, one of our most successful titles. They've gone through a very interesting time since the bird flu outbreak we had recently. And Hairdresser's Journal, that's another one. That's the best front covers of the entire group, probably. One of the most fundamental things we understand about our business is we are not in the business of building communities. Our communities already exist. They predefine by job. They already have ways of communicating with each other. We're purely in the business of serving them, and serving them with information, be that journalistically created information, researched and written good journalism, or be that information products. If at any point we stop serving them, we become very poor. And I don't like being poor. I've got a lot of subscriptions paid for. So, we have a very very important metaphor in the way we look at our publishing, and that metaphor is the pub, because we like pubs. I started my journalistic career writing for the pub trade, which was terribly hard work, as I'm sure you can imagine. And we view traditional journalism, both online and in print, as roughly equivalent to running into the pub, shouting at the people there for 10 minutes, and then running straight back out again. And that's equally true of traditional magazines and traditional websites. The content is just there, they look at it. The only way you can get any sort of feedback is to write a letter to the editor, which he only looks at if there's space on the letters page that week. Where we want to be, at some point down the line, is in a position where we're chatting over a pint with our readers. Now, in the physical world, we already do that to a very large extent. We have a large events business, we have trade shows, we have awards, we have business lunches and those sort of things. So we do get together with our readers. And to a limited extent, we do actually have some online forums that are quite successful. We've also had some bad experiences with forums, but I'll come back to that later on. Now, where does blogs fit into this? Well, it actually fits in right in the middle. Because blogging, from our point of view, particularly journalistic blogging, is pretty much equivalent to running to a pub, shouting somebody for 10 minutes, and then sitting down and having a chat with them afterwards. So why would we want to do that? There's lots of reasons. One of which is, it's just that start towards reaching out to our audience, engaging with them, having a real relationship with them, that R word. I put it up there as if it's a bit of a dirty word, because for a lot of our journalists, it is a dirty word. They quite like the fact that they're held back from the audience a little bit. They're a little bit above the audience. They can talk down to them and share their wisdom. But really, as the audience get their own publishing tools, that's not a massively viable way for us going forward. So, we're partially doing it to educate our journalists. Our journalists, on the whole, are very good at researching news, writing features, getting great pictures to make the magazines look great. They're terrible at things like really engaging with the audience, linking, and other basic things that we see as fundamentals of blogging. We're doing it to educate our audience. In some of our titles, Computer Weekly, for example, the vast majority of the readership know what a blog is. Farmers Weekly, the vast majority have no clue. So we're also going to be, as we develop new online information products of various sorts, we're going to be trying to move our audience along with us, educate them, help them start doing these things as well. Another thing that's becoming increasingly important as we see the way the journalist role evolving is we're going to be selecting for our audience, finding the best of the stuff that's out there, a lot of them are very time-poor people, and pointing to them, the classic original blog model. Find something interesting on the web, link to it, give them a little bit of description, tell them why it's important. Again, this is a huge education effort for journalists, because what I'm doing, what we spent the last 5 years telling them. For the last 5 years we've been saying, right, our website, get people in there, keep them there, make it sticky, trap them in that website, you don't want them to escape. You know, you get shackles on them, that's great. We're not doing that anymore. Our idea is to keep people coming back, because they know they'll get the best stuff from us, whether that's within our titles or elsewhere on the web. And also, it's another process of re-education. A lot of the fundamental way journalism in the UK particularly has shifted over the last 10 years, 15 years, maybe more, is journalists get their voice right out of the story. You read a news story, you read a feature, it's very difficult to tell who's written it, because their particular personality, their voice has been taken out. In blogging, they get the chance to put that back in. And in some ways, it's harder to get a journalist to be a good blogger than it is a random person off the street. Because a random person off the street is fairly used to communicating in their own voice. We often find that our journalists have to make a real effort. And if they don't make an effort, then the switch in their head, as the journalist switch goes on, all the personality disappears out. And there's also the rather more mercenary motive of hoping that we've got most of our good sites, we've got vast amounts of content on there, most of which is not being very well seen by Google and all those other things that are really important to us now. And by linking to it from blogs and introducing the blogosphere, we're hoping to see that sort of prominence start to rise. And this is the picture of one of our websites. And I put this up as an example of one of the reasons we feel this is so important, because what's missing from this is anything human. It's a good website, it's relatively successful for us, not great given the market it's in, but it's okay. But you look at it and it looks like it's generated by a machine, which is largely because it is. actual form of it and the shape, it's all shaped by a machine which is imposing a workflow on a person. There's nothing welcoming you there. There's nothing saying, hello, welcome to the site. We're individuals there, we know you're individuals out there. There's no relationship there. So by starting off with blogging, we're hoping to start recreating that relationship. We do it fine in the magazines. We have an editor's welcome, we have pictures of the journalists in the magazine. We don't do it on the web. So, how did we get to blogging over the last 9 months? I'll go through this very quickly because there's not really a huge amount to say. We got somebody in place to do the job, and that was me. I've been blogging for about 5-6 years, which made me the most experienced blogger in the company. When our head of editorial development wanted somebody to get us off and going, they asked the board for 2 days of my time a week, and the board said no, we have them full time. So I'm no longer a journalist, I'm a blog evangelist in the company, which came as a bit of a shock to me, but very pleasant one. So we got the technology, which was obviously WordPress, which is why I'm talking here. No, we did an extensive exercise looking at the pros and cons of different platforms. And for various reasons, I could bang on for a while. Movable Type. Actually, our original choice was Movable Type, but then I started talking to 65 Europe. And they started talking about the enterprise package and the support package, and suddenly the problem of persuading our IT department, which we were struggling with about support, went away, and that made life a lot easier. So then a 3-month break when the IT purchasing actually get around to buying a server. And we used that time to work out which of our titles were the easiest to get online. After that, I took those people who needed training and spent a lot of time with them, just educating them about the blogging world. I do keep going back to the fact that this is a big education process we had to do internally. Most of our journalists, their idea of blogging came from the mainstream media. Not the specialist media like us, but the mainstream media. So 50% of them thought it was all about blogging in your underpants and your cat, and the other 50% thought it was all about the political satire blogs that are very popular in Britain at the moment. So we had a huge education effort there to get people to understand why the hell we should be touching these with a barge pole. And then we started. As soon as we had the server up, we had the first blog go live in about 2 weeks, and the lag between the server going live and actually having the first blog up was just a sign process thing. Right, this is a popular cartoon from Open Void, if you know the website. I had the chance to have a drink with the author of this cartoon in Paris last year, and I asked him if we were the sort of company he was talking about here, the dinosaur that was going to be wiped out by the coming digital age, and he said yes, and I disagreed with him. Partially because if you say the dinosaur is the company, we're not scared. The company at the board level is really bought into this. They're promoting it, they're throwing money at it, they're throwing time at it, they're throwing resources at it. Because of that profits there thing, they know this is the future, and they know this is something we have to understand. Where this has turned out to be very true is with the journalists. There are two groups. There are those who get it and are massively enthusiastic, and there are those who are extremely annoyed and getting their teeth out. So, how have we spread the idea of blogging through the business? There's no one answer. We found different solutions based on different markets. We haven't tried to impose a central model on every single part of the business. We've come to the conclusion that, in theory, the editors of every title know their market best, and they, with help from me and others in the team, should be able to work out what the best way to get blogging is, because they know their readers, in theory. If they don't, the stats will still show it, and they'll still have a new editor. But that's the way we've gone. At the top right there, we've got the big biofuels blog, which is actually the first one we launched. That's from ISIS, which is our sort of chemicals reporting business. Although it's based in the UK, it is international. We've got offices here, we've got offices in Singapore, we've got offices in India. We took one particular guy who really got blogging, he'd been blogging before. He'd seen a niche, which was the biofuels industry, which is, for various very obvious reasons, growing hugely. There's huge interest at the moment. Saw a chance to aggregate information, comment, create a community around it, which one of the exceptions to the most of our community pre-existing. This is a new one that was forming, and therefore we wanted to be there to help them. And Simon has become the evangelist in the chemicals market. And through his expertise showing how it can be done, he's then spreading that knowledge to other bloggers who are starting in that market, and we now have 3 or 4 in the chemical space. next one, Road Transport, which is the truckers group, if you like. They didn't have a website, so we just started a blog. Everyone blogged, some of them brilliantly, some of them not so brilliantly. The best of them have spun off into their own blogs, like Will, who's doing the Truck and Van blog. He's got this sort of encyclopedic enthusiast's knowledge of the history of trucks. Boring to most people, but to the readers, they love it. So that's proved very successful in some markets to get everyone blogging, choose the best ones to really do it in a serious way. Or in other markets, we've chosen to recruit people from outside the business. Computer Weekly, obviously the one who's launching blogs into possibly the most populated field for blogs out there, has chosen to pick and choose from the very best of the British IT industry. And we've got an aggressive expansion plan there. We've got up to aim to be 40 or 50 by the end of the year, which is making me wonder when I'm going to sleep and eat and things like that, but never mind. And for example there, that's David Lacey's security blog, who I'm told is extremely big in UK security issues. Some of our titles, we've chosen to launch websites with blogs, because we didn't, for Road Transport, as I mentioned, and for Hairdresser's Journal, this is, again, I'm told, an extremely fashionable way to look. To me, it's virtually unreadable, but maybe I don't understand fashion. Neither of them had existing websites. So in terms of speed of construction and price, we decided to go first with blogs. We could get them live within a couple of weeks. Again, we can set them up in the system in an hour, or 10 minutes actually. It's just waiting for the designs to go on. Once that's done, we can get the journalists starting to publish. We can get them starting to do all the good blog stuff of linking, of interacting with the readers, before they start doing conventional website stuff. So all that good interactive journalism is part of their online experience from the start. Unlike a lot of our other journalists who are having to retrain from just the straight shoveling of print attitudes onto the web. It helps get the search engine ranking of the sites high quickly, because blogs link in and out and generally make our SEO team happy. If you like, we don't have to work quite as hard. As I said, gets journalists writing for the web. And it's opened up all sorts of possibilities we didn't actually expect. Audi came to New Scientist saying, here's a large pot of money, we want to run a trip to space competition with you, please. If we hadn't had a blogging platform, and had a type, we would have had to say, sorry, we can't do it. Our own in-house written publishing platforms weren't flexible enough to do what we needed to do fast enough. So the New Scientist team, technical team, Ash and Neela, took our movement type installation, hacked it around so you can present the standard entry form to the world with a fancy front, and we used it as an entry form for this winter trip to space competition. And we, at the time of writing, with another month to go, we've had over 2,000 entries for that. And that's gone very nicely. That whole project wouldn't have happened, we wouldn't have got the revenue, we wouldn't have had that whole sort of interactive experience for readers without it. And also we got national press coverage on that from Canada through to the Far East, so that one's been a great success. However, I said before we had a bad experience with forums. Once you make the decision that you're going to go with a standard software package, i.e. one that people recognise that has the functionality that is standard in the market, as we have done with movable type, you're on a path you can't turn backwards on. Some years ago, before I got involved in all of this, one of our titles set up a forum. Just they thought it would be a good idea for their audience. Farmers are a socially isolated bunch, they like to talk. In every market town where they bring their animals into market, there's a farmer's pub where they meet up every time. And I wanted to create an online equivalent to that. And it worked brilliantly. Bought software off the shelf, installed it, great success. So we decided to rebuild it ourselves and bring it in with our standard platform. And it didn't have the same functionality. And the readers don't like it. And we don't own the community. So they took the same software we'd originally taken off the shelf, and they installed it themselves, and they set up their own forum. And all of a sudden, we created our own competitor. So that was a good move. Now, in the long run, it might work out for us because, in terms of that market, it's actually made the whole market slightly more IT aware. And the Farmers Weekly blogs that we've launched have been some of the most actively commented because the market has become to understand it. But we do realise that once we've made a commitment to buying blogging software that's doing all the stuff that got to cutting edge, we're going to continue to do so because our own development resources aren't good enough that we're ever going to be able to catch up. Now, it doesn't mean, with all due respect to 6 apart, who are wonderful, it would always be removal type. As long as they keep on the edge, we will be. But we know that we're going to have to, once we've stepped on this conveyor belt, we're going to have to stay on it. So, the really interesting thing that's come out of this is there's been a whole load of results that we just didn't expect. What have we got to do next? Obviously, we've got to build traffic, teach our journalists to join the conversation. That almost goes without saying. I've said it, so never mind. A couple of our publishers have looked at sort of the costs of running a Moodle type server and looked at the cost of running our conventional internal platform sites and gone, do you think we could do our entire site on Moodle type? And the answer is probably, and we're just starting to experiment with that now. So that didn't foresee that happening, but we're working with sorting out the codes at the moment with some external consultants to build an all-movable type site for Irish Medical Times, which had a very rough website that got badly hacked, so we need to do it quickly, which is another reason for looking at doing it movable type. So we're fairly sure we can do it in a fraction of the time of movable type that we can with our existing internal publishing platform. Increasingly, educating our readers thing is becoming important. We're starting to see readers coming to us and saying, I like this blogging thing, can we do it too? And we're finding ways of facilitating that. It's going to be a big challenge for a couple of our markets in the next couple of years, or in fact probably the next couple of months. Earlier presentations, I mentioned it. Metrics is going to be really big for us. The great thing for a journalist about working in print, she was very hard to identify who's really responsible for the success of the magazine. The great thing for a publisher about online is you can tell exactly who's successful, who's making the website a success. So we're at the moment trying to work out ways of measuring the rate of posting from people, and we're hoping that the development to move the type will go in that direction, please. We need to work out how to measure RSS subscriptions, we need to work out how to measure comments to a particular author's copy. Those sort of things are going to be really big to our business. Things like what's being searched for, which is going to be really big for us. If something's being searched for a lot by our readers, and we're not providing that stuff, we've missed a news story, we've missed something that we need to pick up on very quickly. We need to work out how to make money off blogs. It doesn't matter to every market. Some of our markets, the SEO factors or the reader interaction factor is enough in its own right. But for others, for some of them, the blogs have been a godsend. We have a couple of titles where we're selling all the inventory we can generate, and the rapid generation of pages from blogging is actually giving us ad slots that we didn't have before, which has been great. But we'll be experimenting with different means of making money off blogs as we go forward. This one I didn't expect at all, but 2 different groups of our business from the information products have come to us and said, well, we'd like to blog as well. And this is a big mind shift for our business because the information providers provide the information and get these shut the hell up, frankly, and the journalists got to talk to the readers. And now we're actually going to say, well, okay, these guys who are providing all these information products, they've got a vast set of knowledge in their own right about things like London commercial office space. We've got a huge database, we have a lot of money off there. But these guys are researching this all the time, they've got information they can feed straight into our readers and our value. So we'll be doing blogs around a lot of our information offerings. Our social care title, Community Care, is launching again an information resource, and they're going to be blogging the development of that resource as they build up to the launch. And I have 2 scary folders in my Outlook. One scary folder is the list of extra things people want on their blogs. It's only scary because I don't have the time, but we are going to have to start. Our journalists who are keen are getting very good at realising how they could add value to their readers by adding extra tools and functions onto their blogs. So we're going to have to start looking at a much more sophisticated way about plugins, about working with some of the ProNet guys in this room to build extra functionality into our blogs. But that's going to be exciting. And the other one, again, which we didn't really expect, we didn't think was going to be important, I'm terribly sorry, I used to have a voice, I'm not quite sure I did it. We've had a huge demand all of a sudden for internal blogs. We didn't expect it, we didn't think about it. Like most publishing businesses, we tend to live in our little silos and talk to our teams and not really communicate with each other. But with the result, particularly of having the blog evangelists, they're starting to talk across market and share experiences. And other people are beginning to see the possibility of using blogs to communicate with each other. And so we're in the process of buying and settling the station with the type enterprise and getting that running and seeing where we're going with internal blogs, which is why I've got that long, scary list of people who want them. And that's where we are. That's only 9 months of experience. And I have a suspicion at the rate at which changes and demands are growing, it's going to get bigger and more scary as we go, but it's been a hell of a lot of fun, and it really is making a difference the way we run our business. Any questions? Before my voice gives out. Excellent. Thank you very much.